Welcome to another Sunday WOAY ABC4 Community Forum, where we talk to community leaders and local success stories to discuss everything important happening here in Southern West Virginia. I'm your host, Brandy Lawrence, and today we're joined by another distinguished guest, Dr. Christy Dumas, who you may recognize. Last time she was here, she was the Beckley Rotary Club president, but this time she's come with a new role. She's the executive director of CASA of New River. Thanks so much for coming to the forum.
Yes, thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. Now, we talked a little bit offset the last show that we had about CASA of New River, and you told me that you potentially would be taking on this role, but nothing was set in stone yet. But now you're in it, and for the people out there that don't know what CASA is, can you explain?
Sure. So CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocate. And so CASA is a national program and organization geared at being the voice and advocating for the best interest of children who have been abused and neglected. And so I like to explain CASA in these ways. We are the eyes and the ears of the judges and the voice of the child in the courtroom. So we have a big job, but it's such a needed program, particularly in our area with all that has gone on with the opioid epidemic and the ways that very directly affects parenting. So we are happy to be here. It has been a heavy lift. Lots of CASA organizations and local programs fall under other umbrellas, so the infrastructure is already there. That is not the case with CASA of New River. We are a standalone local program, and so I have had to build that program from the ground up. It has certainly been a challenge, but I'm always happy to take on challenges.
Well, it's a wonderful cause, and we thank you so much, for taking it on, such a heavy feat. And, we talk to a lot of advocacy centers and, adoption centers and things like that about a lot of the challenges that children face in Southern West Virginia. And I think that what you all are doing is extremely important, and I think that it will go really far to help these kids.
Yes. We believe that.
Absolutely. So as I stated, we do talk to child advocacy centers such as Just for Kids, but how is CASA different from organizations like Just for Kids?
So CASA is different in the sense that we are court ordered. So when an abuse or neglect case comes before a judge and it's challenging, there are many floating and moving pieces, they then decide CASA can step in this case and really make a difference and bring all of the parties together and communicate. So we are different in that we are court ordered on a case. So we are actually officers of the court. We are moving in the interest of the judge, the child, and really all who are involved in the case. Just for Kids feels like a sister organization to us. They do very important work. They actually do forensic interviews with children where there are allegations of abuse and neglect, and then they also provide counseling and therapy. We are different in that we are in every aspect of the child's life in the case. We are engaging with their biological parents. We are engaging with foster parents, teachers, with law enforcement, pro-social activities and facilitators in the community. So our job is to understand all of the tenets of the case and present fact-based information to the court and the trier of fact. And we provide recommendations for what is going to move this case towards permanency. That is always going to be the goal of CASA, is to make sure that these children who have been abused and neglected are then found safe, appropriate, loving homes and give them the most optimal opportunity to thrive. That is our overarching goal. So we're always going to move towards permanency. Children deserve to have stability and permanency, even in the midst of an open abuse and neglect case. Some of our goals, we have lots of goals in CASA, but some of our goals center around making sure, one, that children that have been removed from their biological family are safe. Even in foster care, that is a goal. We want them to be safe. We also want to decrease the amount of homes that they are in while they are separated from their family. And we want to make sure that permanency is always the goal. Kinship placements, anything that we believe would be safe and appropriate with family is always going to be most optimal, and it's going to be number one on our priority list in CASA.
Absolutely, and it's a wonderful, wonderful cause. And I'm sure, people in the community, anybody that's hearing this right now, will wonder, what can we do to help you all out? And what can we do to help these kids out? So
that's an amazing question. It's the $1 million question. There are so many ways to get involved with CASA. There are so many ways to volunteer and give. One of the first ones that people think about is to be a CASA advocate, where you actually have a child assigned to you and you are helping that child move through the system until they reach permanency. So our CASA advocates typically have one child that they are assigned to learn as much as they can about the case and to assist in that manner, but also to build rapport with the child. There's no way to really advocate for a child and their wishes and their desires for permanency if you don't know them. So our CASA advocates will spend time with the child, learning their likes, their dislikes, what they want to see in the future, who they want to be when they grow up. And when you're able to build that rapport, you're also able to make sure that the resources that the child needs are in place. It's working with the social worker and the case managers and the socially necessary service providers to make sure that the resources are in place. Research actually indicates that children who have had a CASA advocate are indeed safer while in placement. They see permanency as much higher rates than those without a CASA advocate, and the services they need are in place at a much higher rate. And so that is a great way. Come along with us, become a CASA advocate. We offer a very robust training program, somewhere around 40 hours before individuals are sworn in as advocates. And so that is the number one way that people feel that they can give back, but it's certainly by far not the only way. It takes a lot of people to make CASA go. We actually have individuals who are donors. They say, I really don't have the time, or some of them don't have the bandwidth to really get as engaged and involved with just one child, and so they are donators. They donate. They're donors. They work with us. They say, what is the need? What are some of the things that you are trying to finance? We are willing to help. And of course, we love having individuals who are willing to donate to CASA because it gives us the ability to really fortify the program, to engage more CASA advocates, to offer other services and other programs outside of just the advocacy piece. And so we always need people who are willing to donate, and then it gives us the opportunity with those unrestricted funds to hire more people so that we can expand and have sustainability in the program. So we always need people to donate. We also have people who say, I don't know that I am able to take on a child and I don't have a big checkbook, but I am willing to help you do development. I'm willing to sit at a table. We are going to be at Chili Night in a couple of days, and CASA will have a table. We have folks who say, I will work your table. I will talk to people about CASA. I will raise awareness about what your organization is doing and what you want to do. I have folks who say, I'm willing to come and clean the office. I'm willing to, arrange or come up with other fundraising activities for you. The t-shirt that I have on today was donated. Someone who said, I'm super busy, but this is my talent, and I am willing to make any of your swag, make donations in terms of my time and some of my craftiness. We welcome it. So there are so many ways that people can get involved and really push the mission of CASA.
Awesome. That's so great to know. Any way that people can help is just helping you all out.
Absolutely.
And, since, you're spearheading a lot of this, and this is, something new to our area, like, I'm sure you need as much, support as you can get. So guys, whatever it is that you can do to help out CASA, please feel free to reach out to them and help them out, because this is a really wonderful thing for our kids.
Yes.
So we have that, but I was also going to ask, we already asked how the community can get involved. What are your goals for CASA, in this, maybe not so much next coming years, but in this, next coming year, what would you love to see happen?
So what we would love to see happen is, one, sustainability, that the day-to-day operations are on the forefront of our mind, instead of raising the funds to keep this program around. As well as I do, if you have your attention so split, sometimes it's hard to really dig into the meat of the mission and the vision of the program. So we would love to not have finances, and with a nonprofit, that's always going to be a consideration, but we would love for it to be 2 or 3 on the list, and the real work being at the top of the to-do list. CASA of New River is the only program for about an hour one direction and an hour and a half in the other. There is a program in Greenbrier, and there was, before COVID, a plan to try to expand that program into Raleigh County, but that did not happen. And so we know that we are doing the hard work, and I'm elated that the children in Raleigh County will benefit from CASA. But part of our vision statement is to be able to move into other counties in the New River Gorge area. So we may be coming to a county near you, depending on the support and hopefully some feasibility studies before we move into those areas, to make sure that we can fortify programs in other parts of the state.
Awesome. Great stuff. Great stuff. And we're about to go off to our break, but before we go, do you mind plugging the contact information so we can get those volunteers to you and we can get CASA spread out?
Yes, absolutely. So I want to give the address first, because we have had people who wanted to make donations and didn't want to use electronic methods, and we totally understand that. So it's 129 Main Street, Suite 407, Beckley, West Virginia, 25801, and our phone number is 304-543-3943. It is probably easiest to find us on Facebook. We have a very active Facebook page. All of the information that anyone would ever need is on our Facebook page. You can message us there directly. We have QR codes and links to our PayPal and giving. So find us on Facebook, CASA of New River, and you reach out to us and we will get back to you as soon as possible.
Awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff. So make sure to get in touch with them, but make sure to come back after the break. I will be back here with Dr. Christy Dumas, and we'll be talking more about CASA of New River and how you can help out. Welcome back to Sunday Community Forum. I'm here with Dr. Christy Dumas, who is the Executive Director of CASA of New River, and we're talking about everything that the organization does. Now, since you all work with kids who, have experienced some, terrible things, sometimes in their very short lives, I know that there's some trauma involved in that. And are there any techniques or type of things that you all do to try to mitigate that trauma?
Sure. So I'd love to give you a scenario. Imagine that you are 10 years old. You live in a household that is sometimes loud and sometimes turbulent, and you go to school just like a normal average day. And a nice lady comes to you during school and she talks to you and she asks you about things that happen in your home. And because you've always been told to tell the truth, you tell the truth about some of the things that you hear and that you see in your home. Instead of getting on the bus and actually going home the way you normally do every day, the nice lady tells you that you're coming with her, that you're not going back home. And she takes you to an office with a couple of things in a bag for you to keep, and she drops you off at a new home with new parents, with new children that are not your siblings, and you immediately know that it's because of what you shared with the lady that you are no longer allowed to go home. You're afraid. The next day you're enrolled in a new school with new students and new teachers that you've never, ever seen before. Your siblings are gone. They've been placed somewhere else. You're given very little information about what is going on, and your world has been turned completely upside down. You internalize what has happened. You blame yourself. You feel guilt and shame and anxiety. And nothing is the same. And then you meet a CASA. You have no idea what that is or what that means, but you know that they're listening to you. They're talking to you. They care about what you want and what your desires are. And they've made the promise to represent that in court and with whomever they come in contact that has anything to do with your situation. And even though social workers change, attorneys change, schools and even foster parents change, CASA remains the same. It is the one constant in most of these children's lives. Once a CASA advocate is assigned to a case, it never changes. And that CASA is not off of the case until that child reaches permanency. I right now have a case that has been open for several years and may continue to be open for several more years because we're dealing with a mother who gets clean and sober and then relapses, and the process starts all over again. But that's the commitment that I've made to CASA, to be there until the very end. And so what our CASA advocates are trained to do is implement very trauma-informed interviewing and communication styles and techniques in order to help mitigate some of the effect of this hugely traumatic experience that these children are going through. Every move, every school change, every placement change is a traumatic event and experience for the child. Some of them are more resilient than others and have different alternative coping mechanisms. Some of them have none. And so that's how CASA is able to help change the trajectory of the child's life. We have a trademark slogan in CASA that says, "Change a child's story." We have the ability in CASA to change that child's story from failure and trauma to one of resiliency, victory, and permanency. And that is our charge.
That's wonderful that you all are giving them at least that stability, at least with that one person, that advocate that is going to stick beside them and always be there with them.
Absolutely.
'Cause, it's hard. Change is hard to navigate as an adult. So,
Right.
I mean, especially as a child and, you're still growing and changing.
Absolutely. As adults, we hate change. It's hard for us to navigate. When I was in private practice, I can't tell you the amount of people who were there because they had adjustment disorders. It was so hard for them to adjust to the slow or even rapid changes that were happening in their lives. And many of them were very, normally developing and had reasonable coping skills, or so they thought, until major life shifts and loss happened. And imagine the amount of loss that is experienced by these children who are in abuse and neglect cases every single day. Every single day is a mourning of what was, the loss of everything that's familiar. And then we wonder why they can't focus in school or why they're acting out in the community. There is a continual and a perpetual loss that is felt by these children that someone has to help them process through and advocate for their best interest. And that's CASA.
Absolutely. And it's wonderful that you all are doing that. So we would love to, continue advocating for how we can help you out in any way. And you do have some campaigns coming up leading to Giving Tuesday. So can you give us a little information about that?
So we have a campaign that is coming up leading to Giving Tuesday, and it is our founder campaign. So our Founders Campaign, we are looking for people to come alongside us and really fortify this program. It is our very first fundraising effort. And those who give in this campaign, there are varying levels of giving. And if they come alongside us, they will become a founding giver of the CASA legacy. That's what I'm calling it, because I am decreeing that CASA will be around for a long, long time, that we will find donors who are willing to partner with us to make sure that CASA is here. We're going to fortify the program, that sustainability is our portion, that will happen. And so we are asking people to give in this founding campaign. There are lots of incentives for individuals and businesses. We, of course, plan on having a commemorative giving tree that people who donate at least $1,000 will be on that giving tree, and it will be there forever. All will know, those who partnered with us in the beginning. And a donation to CASA right now really speaks volumes, and what it translates to is that people care about the children, that they care about the safety of these kids. A donation to CASA means that you understand how traumatic being removed from your home and how impactful that can be on the future of a child. It's really investing in the future of these children and saying we believe that every child has the right to be safe, to be loved, and to thrive. That's what a donation to CASA really means, is that you are willing to invest in kids in our area and see that their futures can take the right turn. They do not have to fall in the traps of substance use. They do not have to be a victim of domestic violence. They don't have to continue in the cycle of trauma. So giving to CASA means I support the children of the future. We talk so much about where West Virginia is going, and that we see all of our children, getting of a certain age and leaving because they don't see the value in staying. We see the value in being here. I'm here because I choose to be here, because I love it here and I believe in the people here. There is a resiliency that's embedded in the people of West Virginia. And I want to expound on that resiliency and make sure that it is infused in children regardless to their situation, regardless to the decisions their parents and their trusted adults have made. We have to invest in our children. It's the reason that I became part of CASA. It started out years ago. I'm originally from California, and my mother, for almost a decade, was the board president for the CASA where we lived. So I had been around the program and was exposed to it. Just several years ago, during the pandemic, I was asked to be part of the state board of CASA for West Virginia. So I served as a board member on the state level, and my number one complaint was that we did not have CASA in my area, that I was working for this board, and although children were seeing the benefits of my work, the children in my community were not. And so I advocated for a CASA in the area, and at the time there were not funds for that. And recently, because of Senator Joe Manchin's appropriation funds that were set aside for CASA, the state CASA, in their benevolence and in their wisdom, put that money aside for me to start a CASA program here in Raleigh County. And so that is another reason that we are fundraising. Those appropriated funds will run out at the top of the year, and so CASA of New River is having to stand itself up so that the program can exist and operate the way that it needs to. So we certainly need the community to partner with us to finance.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for giving us all this excellent information.
Sure.
I know we have our number up again below and the website as well, but you all look them up on Facebook too, so you can get all this good information and figure out how you can help. So thanks again for joining us for Forum.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you all for joining us for Sunday Community Forum. Be sure to tune in next week. And